Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're going to go ahead and recap the Grizzlies-Warriors game here. Grizzlies, just complete blowout, 95-134. The series is now 3-2. Personally, I'm not really rooting for anybody in this series. I'm just hoping for good basketball, and so I was pretty pleased with how it went tonight with another game of no Ja Morant. The whole Ja Morant situation at the time of this recording is still very much up in the air, so I'm not really going to talk about it too much, but, we know 3-1. If you watch basketball, if you've been watching basketball the last, 5 to 8 years, you know playoffs, you know the 3-1, you know the Warriors 3-1, you remember 2016. It's just weird because it's in the back of all of our heads. It's in the back of all of our heads. Now, being just realistic, especially with Ja Morant's injury, man, it's not very likely that Memphis is able to come back down 3-1. But I will say this, if there's going to be a team to do it, especially without their superstar and their number one option, it's going to be this Memphis Grizzlies team. I mean, there's a reason. It's funny because I'll watch online on YouTube, you got Skip and Shannon, you got First Take, you got, Colin Coward or Coward or whatever. Everyone says, I swear to God that everyone says the Grizzlies record without Ja Morant, just differently every single time. To my knowledge, the Grizzlies without Ja Morant this season were 20-3. That's to my knowledge. But it's somewhere loosely, roughly around there if the answer is not 20-3 without Ja. Tyus Jones is a stud. I will say that. But to be real, to be blunt, Golden State tonight played like crap. They completely played like crap. And, it wasn't just, the shooting, it was mainly just turnovers, silly BS stuff that isn't typically how the Warriors play in the past seasons, in this dynasty. But when you have so many young players out on the court, I guess you're a little bit more prone to sloppiness. This was such a crazy thing. 95-134, the Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Jordan Poole, against the Ja-less Memphis Grizzlies. I give a lot of credit. I give a lot of props to Memphis. Shout out Steven Adams as well. Shout out Tyus Jones. Shout out Triple J. Shout out their whole team. This is something that they've been doing all regular season. When Ja went down with an injury, I immediately wrote him off. And I still, like I said, I still think Golden State, once they go back home, I still think this series is over. No disrespect intended. It's just that, Klay hasn't really been playing too well. He kind of got it going tonight. Jordan Poole's been playing horribly the last couple of games. Steph played bad tonight. Draymond Green played bad tonight. There were turnovers everywhere. They were in foul trouble right away. Every possible thing for Golden State tonight went wrong. It either went wrong or they just effed it up. It was one or the other. So I don't think it happens. The reason being is not because I think Memphis is a bad basketball team or anything like that, but tonight was extremely impressive, especially defensively. Offensively and defensively, you've been watching the Grizzlies this season, they can score, dude. They can score, they can defend. There's a reason they're a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense in the NBA in the regular season. Their kind of mentality is next man up. When you go down 3-1 in a playoff series, you're pissed off. Usually after game 4 is when the series kind of start getting a little bit more physical. They start getting a little bit more aggressive because, these teams have played 4 straight games together. They're pissed off at the other team. They hate every player on the other team, or they just dislike them. All the mannerisms, all that type of stuff. And so, Memphis tonight, especially right away, ESPN had it as Warriors leading 3-2. I'm like, there is no way Golden State wins this basketball game. Not saying it's rigged. I'm not trying to say it's rigged. But Golden State, they just played terribly, and it just kind of gave me an intuition, yeah, all right, Memphis is going to be ready to play tonight. It's interesting. It's really interesting, Memphis. But if you guys have been watching my channel all season, one of the things I keep kind of talking about is, I love the Grizzlies. I think what they're doing is really cool. I was just in Memphis last year. I thought it was so sick. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go to a game. I think they were playing on the road. It was like early January of last year. And so not this same Grizzlies team, unfortunately. But I love the culture that they're establishing. I love their coach. I love their personnel. I love the city. Like, shout out Central's Barbecue. Like, it's just a really cool spot. And they're resilient. You know, they really are resilient. But my biggest thing with Memphis, my concern, my fear, the reason I didn't have Memphis getting into the Western Conference Finals is really just because they lack that combo guard. They lack that. They miss that. Like, they're lacking another star. And, obviously, if we take a look at this roster, the hope is, you have Triple J, you got Dylan Brooks, you have Desmond Bane, you got Brandon Clark. I'll throw Brandon Clark in there. Zaire Williams, we might as well loop him in there. The top three, kind of the most notable. But the hope is that one of those, like, 5 players or just anybody on this roster kind of molds into a star via the draft. My money would be on Triple J or Desmond Bane. But even so, they're not quite stars, right? They're good basketball players, but they're not quite stars. They're not quite all-star caliber. They're definitely not superstar caliber. So if Memphis had another superstar on their team, or they had at least another star type of player, it's a consistent guy, a consistent particular scorer at the guard spot that you can rely on late in basketball games. And I'm having trouble kind of thinking of somebody as such. Better than an Eric Gordon. Just like, they're just missing that. And so when I think of the playoffs in the NBA, I think, all right, typically with winning teams in series, winning teams in championships, they have at least, one superstar and one star. They have 2 stars. They have 2 superstars. They have 3 stars. They have 2 stars and a superstar. Whatever the case may be, the playoffs are a star-driven usually. And so I look at Memphis and I'm like, yeah, they got a bunch of dudes who could be those dudes, but on a consistent level. I love Desmond Bane, I love Dylan, I love Triple J in that starting lineup, but there's this thought in the back of your mind thinking, are they going to be able to continue what they're doing in the postseason? And so, like I said, I don't think Memphis wins the last 2 games of this series. I would not be shocked if they did. I would definitely be surprised. I got Golden State winning Game 6, but to be quite honest with you, I probably won't be rooting for either team. But I'm definitely not going to complain if Memphis gives them a run for their money and makes it go to Game 7. I'm really curious what you guys have to say. I would imagine there's a lot of hype around the Grizzlies nation right now. So if you're a Grizzlies fan, go ahead, drop a comment. Let me know how you feel. But even if you're not a Grizzlies fan or a Warriors fan, go ahead, hit that like button, drop a comment down below, and I'll see you guys later.